Beyond music, Passion was a force for good. Her Imagination Library program has donated hundreds of millions of books to children around the world, including in Nigeria. Her relationship with the Grammy Awards was nothing short of historic. She earned 11 Grammy Awards from 55 nominations, placing her among the most nominated female artists in the show's history, winning her first Grammy in 1978 for Best Female Country Vocal Performance. In 2011, she received the Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award, and 2 of her songs were inducted into the Grammy Hall of Fame. In November 2025, just months before her passing, she received an honorary Oscar in recognition of her extraordinary philanthropic contributions. It was one of her final public honors. Was not just a country star. She was one of America's most philanthropic, unifying, and beloved stars, gone at 80. But her voice, her heart, and her legacy will echo forever. May her soul rest in peace. Dr. Bati, you were saying your favorite word code of many of them. I didn't know those. I grew up in yes, from poverty to global stardom as well. I grew up listening to her. My mother, one of my mother's favorite. Yes, I feel like yes, on that note. Yes, she is, really. She's been honored. I'd like to thank you for your great analysis, as always, on What's Trending. Well, that's all I have for you on What's Trending today. Here we have Jolene, the hit from Dolly Parton. Enjoy it, and I'll see you all tomorrow.
There will be 1 minute at a toss.
And that's all on today's edition of the Morning Show. What to say is up next with Global Business Report. Stay with us. This is the OBRI's News Channel, your favorite global standout news channel.
This is a security announcement. Please make sure your points carry you out. Thank you.
Double verification. 100. You will come DJ. Hold on, baby.
Number 10, Lamine Yamal.
talk to everything.
You will find natural contact that understands your unique expectations. Easily connected across Africa and global financial centers with the only platform to facilitate seamlessly whenever, wherever, however. With smart financial solutions in a systemized blend of technology and human touch. For easy, fast and secure banking. For ease, turning dreams into reality is now in your hands. People, technology, service, celebrate in your best interest. Nigeria is full of energy, efficient, possibilities. But in its fast-moving economy, potential means very little without knowledge. The business universe is complex, hard to navigate. Without knowledge, it's easy to stumble. Knowledge is what helps you read the signs. Knowledge is what helps you seize opportunity. Knowledge is what keeps you from making expensive mistakes. That's where the Global Business Report comes in. Serious journalism, sharp analysis, with stories behind the numbers. Join me, Lazy Ray, for the Global Business Report because the future belongs to the informed.
Are you tired of the same old news cycle? Ready to spice things up?
Welcome to Live 360, your ultimate live stage service entertainment, arts, and
57
culture.
minutes
From the
in.
greats and gone of Hollywood to the hottest African stars, 360 is the action. From music, the latest movies, we've got it all. One score unbeatable, only can bring the world of entertainment straight to you. We're talking exclusive edging, red carpet moments, and behind-the-scenes stories that will keep you buzzing.
Let's celebrate the vibrant culture and creativity that makes us proud to be Nigerian.
This is a Rise 360,
Where entertainment meets lifestyle.
With Dash and Spice.
catch us every weekday at 5 p.m. on your Rise News channel. And now,
Let's get this party started!
Arsenal, after 61 minutes in, number 8, Martin Odegaard.
You're watching the play live. And we're straight up news stream. Rise News, the world and beyond.
After 65 minutes in,
Welcome to Arise News. You're watching the Global Business Report. Versus Sabir here. We're in Lagos, Nigeria's commercial capital. Let's take a look at the headlines across the business world today. Canada, oh Canada, retaliates against the United States with tariffs affecting up to 22 billion of U.S. goods going into the Canadian territory. Give you some details on that. Also, the IPO hype machine, Anthropic,
says their total addressable market is a staggering $30 trillion. It's even higher than the TEM number that SpaceX gave out. SpaceX has the highest IPO in history. Iran and Oman are discussing a temporary opening of the Strait of Hormuz. That is not going to fly with the United States. And in Nigeria, reports of CNG adoption, compressed natural gas, actually increasing. It's a global business report. You stay tuned. All right. Oil prices are actually falling now for the third day in a row. We have Brent crude now below the $90 level. We are still, of course, on the high side because oil prices, when the war started, February 28th, when the U.S. and Israeli forces attacked Iran, it was $68. In fact, you can actually transpose the numbers, right? It was 86. It was 68 when the war started. So essentially, the oil prices are down 1.96% down in early trade this morning. West Texas is down. So is obviously that's but prices are still elevated, and we are still seeing that in the inflation figures from around the world. Yes, easing a bit, but still above central bank targets. Fuel prices are still high wherever you are as a result of that. Now, still on the Middle East, the blockage, the U.S. naval blockade in the Strait of Hormuz is still very much in place, not allowing any ships to get through to Iran. But what we understand is that Iran, of course, because we've talked about this several times, that Iran controls the northern part of the Strait of Hormuz and Oman on the southern part. Both nations have been talking about getting, I don't know where this is going to be, a transport corridor that will allow vessels to go through. Iran still wants financial compensation for vessels to pass through. There's discussions with Oman about that. The economic sanctions that the United States say they're going to dole out, could that include Oman? Because we understand that President Trump, according to U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, has been on the phone with leaders of nations that are friendly to Iran, telling them to sever all ties. Either way, a joint statement put out by both nations is that they want to find a temporary corridor to allow vessels to go through. How that gets past the U.S. blockade that is blocking this already, we don't know. But they're talking temporary, and then 30 to 60 days from now, they're also talking about a permanent pass-through for vessels. But again, Iran wants financial compensation for vessels that pass through the strait. So again, at the height of it, it's about 20 million barrels, 1/5 of global supply of oil that passes through the strait. The U.S. is saying last week they saw about 10 million barrels from the crude. That is being taken with a pinch of salt by analysts, because if that was the case, supply was at that level, their oil prices would fall much further. So this is still very much the main story on a daily basis. Right now, we're just waiting to see those economic sanctions, the economic D-Day announced by the U.S., if that follows through. Alright, now, mention this. High oil prices, inflation is still very much on the high side around the world. Australia was the first major central bank to hike interest rates on many of the public markets. The next meeting is September. We have a lot of meetings, central bank meetings, Nigeria, the United States, Australia, and the like. So headline inflation for July coming in at 3.5%, lower than 3.8 in June, but higher than the estimates of 3.8, and crucially higher than the Reserve Bank of Australia's inflation target of 2 to 3%. So energy prices still very much on the outside in terms of high oil prices. And that pass-through effect is being seen through everything else, right? So this is still very much a reminder that oil prices are still high, and inflation likely to keep central banks on edge and likely to keep central banks hawkish, which means interest rates probably still really high. This is, the big news from the last 24 hours. This was expected. Prime Minister Macron said that they would do a retaliation because according to the U.S. Empire, both sides were unreasonable in the final stages of negotiations. So you got up to 50% tariffs on Canada on U.S. goods coming into Canada. For example, aluminum and steel is currently a 25% tariff on those. Canada says this is going to go up to 50%. And it should also be pointed out that Canada is being very strategic about where they are targeting. So for instance, they're targeting seafood coming from Maine, which is in northern United States. Susan Collins, the Republican there, is in a vulnerable senator. She's a Republican. She has come out in the tweet and said she doesn't support these sides. And they're also targeting cheese from Wisconsin, Washington cheese from Kentucky, and things like that. So they are very strategic, saying that there's a midterm coming up, hoping that that causes political pressure in the U.S. But let's listen to François Philippe Champagne, who is the finance minister for Canada, announcing this.
They am announcing that Canada will match the United States tariff dollar for dollar, rate for rate. Effective September 8th, Canada will impose counter tariffs of up to 15, 25, or 50% on $27.6